Pay close attention. The news you're about to see is fulfilling Bible prophecy.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Yeshua Hawkins. Well, Jeff, we have some interesting reports in regards to bacteria in the gut and how it affects your thoughts, as well as a nation making historic moves in a different type of way. The Pope is back in the news again. More of that crazy weather, and of course, war and more war. But we start our broadcast off with a question. Have you acted on a gut feeling ever? Have you ever wondered why you do some of the things that you do? Well, new study published in Psychopharmacology showed that prebiotic supplements decrease participants' anxiety levels by bringing down levels of the stress hormone cortisol, and help participants ignore negative emotional information over a 3-week period.
Well, prebiotics are different from probiotics. Prebiotics mainly come from fresh vegetables like asparagus, leeks, and onions, and are the food or fertilizer to probiotic strains. Now, pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha tea, dark chocolate, and miso soup are all probiotic-rich foods. Now, this study actually began over a decade ago when in 2001, a study identified the gut-brain connection as a reason for depression, anxiety, and other psychiatric disorders in irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, patients.
Interesting. Scientists are still trying to figure out how the connection works, and other studies that involve calming the gut with bacteria include both prebiotics and probiotics. In fact, regulating those two bacteria can potentially help you lose weight, improve heart health, as well as boost your immune system. Of course, scientists say more research needs to be done for them to substantiate these facts.
Well, according to Jane Foster, an associate professor of neuroscience and behavioral science at McMaster University, anyone who has a mental health disorder that coincides with a gastrointestinal disorder is a good candidate to try to improve the gut bacteria balance.
Oh, that's interesting. 23 years ago, in the mostly Catholic Republic of Ireland, homosexuality was illegal. But that government is the first country in the world to pass a sweeping referendum making gay marriages legal. Now, that's, of course, throughout the entire country. The vote passed by a margin of 2-1. And gay activist and Senator David Norris said Ireland has sent a message to the world. He said, "We are a beacon, but there are countries throughout Africa, Asia, and Russia in which it is terribly dangerous to be gay. So we say," he continued, "to them, be civilized, follow the Irish."
As late as 1993, homosexuality was still illegal in a staunchly Catholic and conservative country. But when civil partnerships were legalized 5 years ago, Ireland turned a corner to a more secular society. Now, even non-Irish people came to see if the vote would be met with success. Now, one man who came to join in the celebration said he couldn't wait to marry him a hot Irish boy.
Wow. Well, the critical difference between a civil union and a same-sex marriage is that a marriage is protected under the Irish Constitution.
Well, ISIS militants have yet seized another town near Ramadi after capturing that town as well, a city of about 400,000. Now, also in neighboring Syria, ISIS also took the historic city of Palmyra, with reports coming from that city of militants leaving heads and decapitated bodies laying in the streets. Now, ISIS has also taken possession of Syrian military equipment left behind by the Syrian military, things like rifles and body armor.
Right. ISIS has taken over and destroyed many historic sites as they make their way throughout the Middle East. The fear in the city of Palmyra is that the 2,000-year-old Roman ruins that have made this city so famous over the years will be destroyed by ISIS, given their strict interpretation of Islam and what we've seen, that is, with the violence that they've inflicted on historical sites across Iraq and Syria.
Well, now we turn our reporting to Larry McGee, who has the latest on Catholicism and its worship of the dead, as well as nuclear activity among the nations, which is definitely on course to bring much death. Now, Larry, what is the latest the Pope is doing?
Indeed, and in worship of Mary, the Pope held an impromptu meeting with his followers this week where the preserved blood of a Catholic saint was placed on display. During the meeting, the Pope cautioned against and referred to gossip as a terrorist, and before departing, kissed the blood-filled relic of Catholic Saint Janarius, which supposedly transforms from a solid into a liquid as an indication of the dead man's affection. Embarrassingly, however, the blood returned to a solid in the Pope's presence, to which he remarked that may be an indication that both he and his followers need to convert a little more. If there are any more Catholic relics which need filling, more bloodshed is sure to come, as nuclear non-proliferation talks failed this week to produce results. Analysts blame the talks' failure on Israel and its opposition to any nuclear deal between Iran and the P5+1. More than 150 nations took part in the latest talks, which took place over the course of a month and required a consensus to adopt the decision to ban nuclear weapons in and around the great river Euphrates. The United States, Canada, and the UK blocked those efforts, however, supporting the expectations of many that in the Middle East and throughout the globe, nuclear war is sure and soon to come. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Katan Jeff, back to you.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, as we've been reporting, California has been experiencing a record-breaking drought with no end in sight. Now, a group of farmers from the state have made an agreement that is unprecedented. They have agreed to give up a quarter of their water rights for the growing season.
Well, the group of farmers are located in the Delta region, which is an agricultural area southwest of Sacramento. Entering into the fourth year of drought, the farmers were faced with water cuts by the state, which had already cut water usage in cities and suburbs and some farmers. Now, according to the Sacramento Bee journalist Dale Kessler, the state is seeking out the farmers with senior water rights that were thought at one time to be untouchable.
The growers believe the state couldn't legally take away their right to the water, but rather than battle it out in court, they decided to compromise. While the farmers will not be able to use 25% of the water they normally do in a growing season, if they had gone to court, they could have lost a much larger percentage of water. Individual farmers in the region can opt in or opt out, but those opting out could face a much worse cutback.
While the Delta region represents less than 10% of the irrigated land in California, this group of farmers is offering a compromise solution. Now, even when drought is not a factor, water rights are heavily guarded as a precious commodity in California. Now, the state is hoping that this will lead to many more agreements as water regulators start going after more and more senior water rights holders across the state.
I think the state's kind of making an example there for others to hopefully follow.
That's right.
Well, as California continues to be bone dry, Texas has been experiencing major floods upon its once dry grounds. Part of Texas have had more than 20 inches of rain in one weekend, and the storms have toppled trees, knocked out bridges, and submerged cars. Swollen rivers, streams, and creeks are running through communities that have already been soaked by weeks of rainfall.
In Hays County, the Blanco River has risen to record levels, causing significant damage to the towns of San Marcos and Wimberley. Now, 1,000 homes have been damaged, with 300 of those houses being completely gone. Now, there has also been at least one death in San Marcos, and 3 people have been reported missing. First responders use pontoon boats and helicopters to evacuate residents from several neighborhoods overnight as these waters continued to rise and the people got stranded.
Terry Doyle's family owns a home in Wimberley, and he said the water got as high as 9 inches on the upstairs. We have a vaulted ceiling, and it wiped out all the windows on both sides, and the water came raging through there. Several bridges were also wiped out in that area, and other rivers from San Antonio all the way to Dallas are at or near flood stages, with more rain forecasted for the upcoming days. In Wichita Falls, the Wichita River, which is at 21 feet above flood level, that is 3 feet short of its historic crest of 24 feet in 2007. So we're seeing these rivers reaching epic proportions and stretching out into the neighborhoods, causing damage.
Absolutely. Well, storms also turned deadly in Oklahoma, with the eastern part of the state receiving up to 6 inches of rain overnight. Now, washing out roads, overflowing homes, and threatening hundreds of residents to evacuate. Rescue operations have been underway around the clock as first responders help people trapped in their homes. Now, Captain Jason Farley, a nearly 20-year veteran with the fire department, died when he fell into a storm drain attempting to rescue 10 residents in Claremore.
Oh, that's sad. 44 counties remain under a state of emergency due to tornadoes, severe storms, and flooding. Parts of the state are bracing for more rainy weather. Flood warnings will continue to be in effect for the next several days.
Well, too much rain, not enough rain, immorality of mankind on the rise, wars and preparations for more wars all prove Bible prophecy is being fulfilled in our lifetime. Now, the religions of this world have not been teaching the morality that is written in the Holy Scriptures designed for mankind to achieve peace. Well, Yishra Hawkins of the House of Yahweh is reestablishing this peaceful way of life filled with joy and health. If you would like to experience this for yourself, contact the House of Yahweh and request your free Prophetic Word magazine and monthly newsletter, and see what the churches have been hiding from you as Yishra Hawkins uncovers the truth. Here's how.
You can contact the House of Yahweh by writing P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. Or you can call them at 1-800-613-9494. Or you can visit them on any of their websites, www.yahweh.com, www.yisrohawkins.com, or www.yahwehsbranch.com. You can email them at info@yahweh.com. And for any calls outside the United States, please call the number on your screen.
Well, don't go anywhere. Up next, another exciting message from Yishra Hawkins. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.